Hello everyone, welcome. This series is Blender Foundations for 2D illustration. I'm going to show you everything that you need, 2% of all these fancy gizmos and buttons that you'll be using 90% of the time to do 90% of the work. So remove all the complexity, remove all the fluff, and just focus on the things that truly matter for 2D illustration and creative freedom. When you first start up Blender, you'll be asked a question. What do you want to do with your left mouse? Select. What do you want to do with Spacebar? That would be search. With that out of the way, when you select something, you obviously just click on it to select it. And if you want to do something to that object, you can click space to search up an action that you want to be done to this object. All these things that are in the search bar can also be found in your menus, and all the things in your menus can be done in your search bar. This just shows you that there's more than one way to do something in Blender. Let's go into viewport navigation. Of course, left click to select something, scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Hold down your scroll wheel and move your mouse to rotate. Hold your middle mouse button, rotate with your mouse, and you click Alt, hold it down until it snaps. Rotate, hold it down until it snaps. And you can zoom in and out from there. Well, let's bring everything back. To pan around your viewport, hold down Shift and the middle mouse button while you slide your mouse around your viewport. Let's go into basic object manipulation. A to select everything. If you like to delete something, click X, click on the delete button, or hit the shortcut D to delete. Both ways work fine. To duplicate something, click on the object first, Shift D to duplicate. You can also select multiple objects by holding down the Shift key and duplicate everything that way. Move your mouse first, your left mouse button to confirm. You can Control Z to undo some of that, or Control Shift Z to redo what you just undid. Let's get into detailed location, scale, and rotation movements. G to grab. Once it's glowing white, to find a location. Left click to confirm, and right click to cancel. You can lock it along the Y. You can lock it along the X, or you can lock it along the Z. If you want to be extra fancy, although this isn't usually used, you can type in a number. For every box is 1 unit. This is rarely used. Most of what we do is more organic, but the option is there if you ever want to do that. When it comes to rotation, R to rotate the box along your view. If you click R twice, R, this is enabling trackball rotation. It is not constrained by your view, and it's not constrained by any axis. Of course, left click to confirm, and right click to cancel. You can rotate along the Z only, or the X only, or the Y only. Or if you want to be precise, you can type in a number, like 45 degrees. Basically, it's just 0 to 360, and if you want to lock it along an axis, type that in. If you look on your top right corner, the ball with the number is the positive, and without it is the negative, as you can see, if you hover your mouse over it. S to scale. Left click to confirm. Right click to cancel. If you only want to scale this on the x-axis, what do? Just SX. Move your mouse either one way or the other way, left click to confirm. What if I just want to constrain it to the z-axis? Easy, SZ. Move it this way or move it that way. Left click to confirm. To just lock it on one axis and scale it along those two other axes, of course, you just click Shift Z to constrain it to the Z, and you're only changing it along the X or the Y axis. Another fancy thing you can do is to change scale numerically. Say you want this cube to be 10 times bigger. So you hit S, 10. Or if you want it 10 times smaller, S, 0.1. This is only useful when you have a whole bunch of objects together and you realize the scene is just too big and you want to change the entire thing to a smaller scale. So if you want half as big, just 0.5, 50% of the size. There is just one little nuance that we need to talk about. If you already rotated something and you already moved it somewhere, and now this is in a different rotation, understand that this object now has its local orientation, meaning that its local x-axis is sitting differently than the global x-axis. To move this object along its local axes, simply go GXX to move it along its local x-axis, GYY to local y-axis, GZZ to move it along its local z-axis. In this case, it's unchanged unless we actually rotate this. Now, the local z-axis is GZZ. Now, the local z-axis is different than the global z-axis. 1 click for the global, 2 clicks for the local. If we are constraining scaling to its local x-axis, you scale to the x again. So we're scaling along the local x-axis. Now we're scaling along the local y-axis, SYY. Now we're scaling along the local z-axis, SZZ. If you want to rotate this object along its local z-axis, RZZ. If you want to rotate this object along its local x-axis, RXX. You can still choose to rotate this object along its global y-axis or global x-axis or global z-axis. If you would like to lock this object on its local z-axis and move it only along the local y-axis and the local x-axis, you can simply select the object G, Shift Z, Shift Z. Now we're moving it along the local y and the local x-axis. Same with any other axis that you would like to lock this object on. G, Shift X, Shift X. Now we are constraining this object by limiting its movement to the local y-axis and the local z-axis only. If you'd like to scale this object along its local x-axis and the local y-axis, you simply select the object, S, Shift Z, Shift Z. Now we are scaling this object only on its local y-axis and its local x-axis. If you'd like to scale this object only on its local z-axis and its local y-axis, simply select this object, S, Shift X, Shift X. Now we're only scaling this object on the local y-axis and the local z-axis. Ooh, I know that was a handful. Most of the time we'll be blocking out our primitives with general shapes like these and going into sculpt mode later on to make manual changes, just so everyone's aware that you can make these precise localized movements. If you want to clear, let's say, your rotation, your location, there are a couple of ways to do it. The default shortcut is Alt-R to clear the rotation, Alt-G to clear the location, Alt-S to clear the scale. But for some reason, because of maybe other programs like NVIDIA, it's not letting me click Alt-R. It's showing up the NVIDIA control. Oh, actually, this time it worked. Okay. So Alt-R, Alt-G, that's to clear the location, Alt-S to clear the scale. Alternatively, if your buttons don't work, you can search up this operation. It's just to show you can do things more than one way. So clear location, clear rotation, and clear scale. Another way to do things, if you hover your mouse over the top right corner next to this little arrow, you can also activate that with the N key. Right here, you have your location, rotation, and scale parameters. And the default is whatever is default. So if you just click backspace when you're hovering your mouse over these parameters, it's going to clear it. So different ways to clear rotation, location, and scale. Congratulations! If you made it this far, you are one step closer to making Blender an extension of your imagination for 2D illustration. In part 2, we'll talk about viewport and outliner object management. See you next time.